welcome back to my channel. My name is Maggie. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my progress on my financial goals for the year. I have been tracking these kind of progress updates actually quarterly, so I do have a first quarter update, but I feel like the halfway point throughout the year is more exciting than a quarterly update, but I will link that one down below. So I have 13 goals this year to do with finance. And let me just kind of start telling you how I'm doing. So the first goal is to max out my HSA account. So I do qualify for a high deductible health plan, and therefore I have an HSA. The maximum amount this year is $3,650. So far this year, I have put in $1,800. So I'm 49.31% of the way to completing it. So right on track. I may have to do just a quick like $50 contribution at the end of the year. We'll have to see how that works out, but that should be easy enough. The second one is to max out my Roth IRA for the tax year of 2022. So this goal may carry over into 23. I'm not really sure yet, but the maximum amount you can put into that type of account is $6,000. So far this year, my main priority has been to complete my emergency fund. So after I'm done with that, which should be very soon, I will be shoveling all of the extra money I have every month towards my Roth IRA. So for the 2022 tax year, I've put $200 into the account yet, which is only 3.33%. So I have a long way to go, but I do think I'll be able to make some significant progress in the second half of the year. The third goal is to complete my emergency fund. So I do have kind of a goal dollar amount that I want to be at. At the end of June, I was at 94.81% of the way to completion. So it should be done in July, knock on wood. But that's very exciting for me to have that kind of built up. I do 3 months worth of expenses plus $1,000 kind of buffer in there. So that is kind of where I'm at. And I do have a video on how I came up with the number that I'm shooting for. So I can link that if you're interested. Okay, next is to save 15% of my gross salary into retirement. So I consider my retirement accounts to be my HSA because I'm cash flowing medical expenses right now. My Roth IRA, as well as I do have a Roth 401k at work. So those are kind of the three vehicles in which I'm trying to put the money. So I did get a raise in April, which is super great, was not expecting it. So that 15% number has increased since the beginning of the year. But I have been able to put, let's see here, $4,155 in two different retirement opportunities, which is 34.84% of that 15% goal. Like I said, with the Roth IRA, the second half of the year should have a big bump up in how much I'm putting into those accounts. So I'm interested to see how much higher of a percentage I'll be at the end of the third quarter. Right now, again, I'm at 34.84%. Number 5 was kind of an easier one for me to just check off, and that is to increase my 401k contributions. I got a raise in April, like I had mentioned, and during that time, I took that opportunity to increase my 401k so that my paychecks are pretty similar to what they were before. I think there's maybe like $50 more a month, but I put most of that extra into my 401k. So that is actually a completed goal for the year. There's nothing else to do because I've already done it. Number 6 is to have 15% of my total income be from passive sources. So if you are familiar with my recap videos, I talk through everything that I've made throughout the month and if it's an active or passive source. Everybody kind of has a different definition, but for me, so far this year, 17.47% of my total income has been passive. So right now I am succeeding that 15%. I really hope that the second half of the year stays on track so that I'll hit that number at the end of the year as well. Number 7 is to make $600 from YouTube. So far this year, I've made $250. So, almost halfway there. I definitely have had a few months where I've been busy and haven't been posting as much as I would like to, but I feel like the rest of my summer and early fall is pretty stable. Not a lot of travel, which usually travel throws the whole thing off. But so yeah, I feel like I still have time to redeem myself as long as I'm consistently posting. And ultimately, if I don't hit that $600 goal, that's okay. It's not the end of the world, but it is a nice kind of benchmark for me to keep up with. Number 8 is to keep my expense section of my budget. So that's like my fixed bills, my variable bills, groceries, and my personal spending money. All of that section, if you're familiar with my budget videos, I can link my most recent one. I have an expense section, and I want that to be 65% of my total income or less is being spent in that expenses section. So at the end of the first half of the year, I tallied up everything that I had spent in that section throughout the months, and I was at 64.3%. So I am slightly under, which is fabulous. That is a little bit of a stretch goal, especially just month to month, there's so much variance and things that can happen, but I'm feeling really great that I'm actually on track. I thought that was going to be a lot harder for me to achieve than it has been. Next, we are talking savings rate. So I do calculate my savings rate every month, and I do 2 calculations. One includes the mortgage principal and one does not. There's kind of debates about that. So I just calculate both. I think it's interesting. So my goal is, let me check my notes. So for the calculation without the mortgage, I wanted to be at 20%. I am actually at 23.35% for the year, so great. And then for the one including the mortgage is at 25% as the goal. I'm actually at 29.43%, so knocking that one out of the park. I've had some really successful months, especially with saving for my emergency fund. And now that I'm debt-free, more of my money gets to go into saving and investment opportunities instead of paying really, annoying bills. So that's been great. In years past, my savings rate has been like 2 or 3. So it's just very exciting for me to see these double-digit numbers and then like in the 20s even. So very happy with that. The next 2 goals are net worth related. So I want to achieve 200 and 300,000. I have not achieved either of those yet. I'm about 160-ish right now. The market has certainly influenced that, and there's nothing I can control with that. So if I don't reach those, that's okay. But it is still something that I'm working towards because I've surpassed that 100,000. So 200 is the next milestone. Goal number 12 is to stay out of credit card debt. I have not had any credit card debt this year, which means that my budget plan is working. I'm allocating enough to my personal spending that I'm not going over into debt. I would love to get that personal spending down, but it still means that I'm maintaining right now, which is really great. So I'm very proud of that. Credit card debt is a very slippery slope. And it takes a while, at least for me, it took a while to actually change my habits. I had been credit card debt free, and then I went back into credit card debt. And then after the second time of shoveling my way out of that, I really kind of made the effort to change my habits, if that makes sense. And the last one is to read a personal finance book. I am currently reading The Millionaire Next Door, which I find very interesting. I like the percentages and the stats that they've shared. I know that the book is kind of dated now, but I still think that it's pretty interesting, the interviews that they did with millionaires and what the average kind of lifestyle is like. So I'm about halfway through the book. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So I don't know, maybe I'll read a second one throughout the year. I was gifted that book, as well as I Will Teach You How to Be Rich. So I may end up reading that one as well throughout the year, but the goal is just to read at least one. So those are the updates on my financial goals. I have one completed all the way and everything else is in progress, which is really great. I really like tracking things like this and checking in on the goals. Most of these I was pleasantly surprised with the amount of progress I had made. And that just kind of, I don't know, like instills in me that the little monthly habits or the weekly habits do add up. And, increasing the 401k as soon as I got a raise was the right decision because I'm seeing the difference in how much I'm able to put into the account. So that is it for me. I hope you guys are doing really well, and I will see you in my next video.